Hey everyone! So here's a number that might save your life someday. 0.9%. Just under 1%. Sounds boring, right? But this tiny number is the difference between a medical solution that works and one that literally kills your cells. Let me explain why. The magic number. Walk into any hospital anywhere in the world, and you'll see bags of clear liquid hanging above patients' beds. That's saline solution, also called normal saline. It's exactly 0.9% sodium chloride, which means 9 grams of salt dissolved in 1 liter of water. Not 0.8%, not 1%. Exactly 0.9. Why is this so precise? Because 0.9% saline is approximately isotonic to blood serum. Your blood, your cells, all the fluids in your body operate at this concentration. When a solution matches your body's natural saltiness, we call it isotonic. Too salty and it's hypertonic. Not salty enough and it's hypotonic. Both of those cause problems. Now here's something wild. The term normal saline comes from studies done in 1882-83 by Dutch physiologist Hartog Jacob Hamburger, who incorrectly suggested that 0.9% was the concentration of salt in human blood. The actual concentration is closer to 0.6%, but the name stuck, and 0.9% became the medical standard because of how it behaves in the body. What happens when you get it wrong? Let's talk about osmosis. Remember high school biology? Water moves across cell membranes, from areas of low salt concentration to high salt concentration. Your cell membranes are like gates that let water through, but block salt molecules. This movement is automatic, and it happens whether you want it to or not. Imagine you inject someone with water that's too salty, say 3%. The outside of their cells suddenly has way more salt than the inside. Water rushes out of the cells to balance things out. When a red blood cell is exposed to a hypertonic solution, solvent goes from the cell to the surrounding solution, collapsing the cell. The cells shrivel up like raisins. Not good. On the flip side, inject pure water or water that's not salty enough, and water floods into the cells. They swell up like balloons until they burst. Giving isotonic saline and no electrolyte-free water reduces the risk of exacerbating hyponatremia, which is when your blood sodium gets dangerously low. In 2023, sodium salts were the 227th most commonly prescribed medication in the United States, with more than 1 million prescriptions. Hospitals use saline for everything from rehydrating dehydrated patients to flushing wounds to diluting medications before injection. The seawater problem. Here's where things get really interesting. Seawater has about 3.5% salinity on average, which means 35 grams of salt per liter of water. That's almost 4 times saltier than your blood. So what happens if you drink seawater when you're stranded at sea? Your body panics. Salt water contains more than 3 times the amount of salt that is normally present in human blood. When that super salty water hits your intestines, osmosis kicks in. Water gets pulled out of your cells and into your gut, trying to dilute that seawater. Your cells start shriveling. But wait, doesn't drinking water hydrate you? Not in this case. The kidneys can only produce urine that is less salty than our blood. Your kidneys can only concentrate urine to about 2% salt maximum. So to flush out 35 grams of salt from 1 liter of seawater, your body needs to produce at least 1.5 liters of urine. Do the math. You drink 1 liter of seawater. Your body uses 1.5 liters of its own water to get rid of that salt. You just lost half a liter of water by drinking. Salt water can never quench your thirst. It can only make you thirstier. Real-world applications. So where does this 0.9% rule actually matter in your life? More places than you'd think. First, nasal irrigation. If you've got allergies or sinus problems, doctors recommend rinsing your nose with saline. Isotonic saline is the most physiological irrigation solution in terms of mucus secretion and the cellular morphology of nasal epithelial cells. Studies on human nasal cells showed that 0.9% saline preserved cell structure and function better than either weaker or stronger solutions. Use water that's too salty and your nasal passages burn. Too weak and your nasal cells swell up, making congestion worse. Get it right at 0.9% and it feels like nothing. That's the point. Your body can't even tell it's there. Research comparing hypertonic and isotonic saline for nasal irrigation found that both improved mucociliary clearance, but they should be selectively prescribed rather than used based on anecdotal evidence. Some conditions respond better to the slightly saltier 3% solution, while others need the standard 9%. Second, wound care. When you clean a cut, using 0.9% saline is gentle on your tissues. Regular tap water? Research indicates that saline is no more effective than potable tap water for flushing wounds. But saline doesn't sting because it matches your body's natural concentration. Third, contact lenses. Lens solution is basically 0.9% saline, with some extra ingredients to keep things sterile and comfortable. If you've ever made the mistake of using tap water with contacts, you know the difference immediately. It feels wrong because the concentration is wrong. How to make it at home. Should you make your own saline at home? For most purposes, no. Buy the sterile stuff from a pharmacy. But if you're in a pinch and need to make nasal rinse or wound wash, here's how. Measure 9 grams of sodium chloride using a weighing balance, and add 1 liter of distilled water to make 0.9% saline solution. You need pure table salt, not sea salt or fancy mineral salt. Those have other stuff in them that changes the concentration. And you absolutely need distilled or previously boiled water. In very rare instances, fatal infection by the amoeba Naegleria, fowlery can occur if it enters the body through the nose. Therefore, tap water must not be used for nasal irrigation. For smaller amounts, use about 1/4 teaspoon of salt per cup of water. That gets you close to 0.9%. Stir until completely dissolved. Let it cool to body temperature before using. But honestly, for nasal irrigation especially, just buy the pre-made stuff. Getting the concentration perfect matters. And pharmaceutical companies have better quality control than your kitchen scale. The bottom line. Look, the human body is incredibly specific about salt concentration. Human blood plasma is about 0.9% salt, and the salt balance in blood is carefully controlled. Your kidneys work constantly to maintain this balance, filtering your blood about 40 times a day. When you mess with that balance by drinking seawater or injecting the wrong solution, bad things happen fast. Drinking salt water leads to severe dehydration through osmosis and increased urine production, pulling water from cells and overworking the kidneys. In extreme cases, it causes organ failure. But when you match your body's natural concentration, with that perfect 0.9%, everything just works. Cells stay happy, fluids flow where they need to go, treatments actually help instead of hurt. So next time you see that bag of clear liquid in a hospital, or pick up saline solution at the pharmacy, remember, there's serious science behind that seemingly simple salt water. 0.9% isn't just a number. It's the precise concentration your body needs to function. And sometimes, precision makes all the difference.